All right, guys, welcome back. So yeah, we're picking up again with this hair project that we've been working on, and I did some offline work, and I kind of realized, I guess, a couple of different things from reading. I think the last live, I had mentioned reading an article more about different workflows in Houdini for hair. And I was reading this article by Dennison, and it goes into a lot of good insights about not just about different scalp zones and how hairdressers kind of see hair, but it goes also into a general workflow in Houdini uh, about different things, and it kind of led me down somewhat of a rabbit hole where I tried looking at other artists' kind of workflow, and it seems there are basically kind of two ways you can kind of go about hair in Houdini. Um, One is to go through a more manual interactive route where you're using different guide groom nodes to manually process the guides and get a really good flow of hair. And so I mean, like, even if I go to like the Houdini uh tutorials, okay, like grooming. Yeah, so I mean, I was taking a look at different kind of uh tutorials by different artists, and it's a good amount of mixture between that manual interactive workflow where you're creating, just manually going in and putting in hair,
codes and
or guides rather.
guide-based table.
And then you have the approach that the artist that I was taking a look at originally, that is the wrong search. How do you call it? Houdini Groom. Yeah, so like the artist that we've been watching in the Rebel Way tutorial, this is a much more procedural workflow. But the thing to keep in mind, I guess, is that she's using a very procedural workflow to create a rug, and
A
while I guess I can kind of see the merit of using a procedural workflow to create a rug. Uh, I don't know if it 100% works when creating the hair for a person, right? So I think what I'm going to end up doing or changing is the I'll explain this in a minute. Is the workflow that I have set up here where we're purely using guide processes to create the hair. I think what we want is a mixture of this, but then also a portion where I'm able to actually groom the hair myself. So there is going to be somewhat of a mixture between a procedural workflow and, I guess, generally the workflow of an artist. Um, so I need to have a good balance between those two. So I think that's what I'm going to change in this setup here. Um, like I said before, I spent some time doing some offline work, and something that I realized that is going to be beneficial in terms of a groom is, well, you'll see here that we have the original geometry for the head. And something that I realize is that, especially if we are going to be applying grooms animated, uh, to an animated character, it is more optimal to just isolate the scalp of the head as opposed to working on the actual geometry itself. And there was a couple of reasons why. Uh, if I continue to find those reasons. Basically, to be honest, I did ask ChatGPT why that kind of workflow uh, is preferred, and it actually gave me a couple of good answers. One of them is performance optimization. So it says growing hair directly on a full head mesh, which is often highly detailed, can be computationally expensive. A separate scalp mesh with a lower polygon count improves performance in grooming software. And so that makes sense. And to be honest, I want to say that is consistent with things that I've seen professionally as well. So I guess well, the basic idea is that you create a scalp from the geometry of the head, and you grow the hair on that scalp. So that way, when you're applying it to a character, again, it's much more computationally faster, and you don't have to exactly worry about things like deformation of the original mesh. Uh, different things like that. Um, I'm just trying to take a look at some of the other reasons why you would want to do this. Better control and density management. So yeah, you can kind of specify more precisely where you want hair to grow. Um, yeah, avoiding deformation issues, easier iteration and non-destructive workflow. So using a separate scalp means the groom can be developed independently from the main head model, allowing for faster iterations. Artists can adjust the scalp topology, reposition hair, growing areas, or refine groom without affecting the base head geometry. And in a pipeline setting, that makes a lot of sense. This gives you some sort of way to separate out the groomers from the rest of the asset people, so they can split up the work a lot more efficiently. So that makes a lot of sense. Compatibility with pipeline and simulation. A dedicated scalp is useful for hair simulations. It allows more precise control over constraints and collisions without interfering with the underlying head geometry. Uh, so yeah, so those are a couple of reasons why I've decided to build a scalp instead of just working purely on this head mesh. So what I want to do is I still want to create a VDB out of the head mesh, just because uh, we are going to need the information in for collisions later on, hair collisions. So we make sure that we're not clipping through the head. But what I've done here, I'll go through this, is I've used the blast node to just isolate this part of the geometry. So no eyes, no mouth, no ears. Um, and yeah, and what I've done is I've used the mesh slice node. So that way I'm only working with half of the geometry, just kind of narrow it down. And I've used the group node where I manually selected portions of the scalp that I want. So I don't want to be growing hair anywhere beyond these points, these selected points. I isolated these primitives on the scalp, and I did a subdivide. So now we're getting some good stuff there. And then I set it to the output. So what I want to do now is, I've isolated this part of the head geometry. What I want to actually do is basically retopologize it. Right, so I want to create. Wait. So I want to create brand new scalp geometry. So what I've done is I've used the topo build tool. So if I just go to the model tab and I hit topo build, it will allow me to select the mesh from the head geo. And when I hit enter, it builds this new geometry node. And inside, it gives me these two nodes, an object merge, which brings in my uh, isolated geometry from the head mesh, and a topo build node. And using this node, I was able to manually go in and click and create polygons on the head mesh as I needed. So what I've done from here is once I had that, I mirrored it. So this is what I had before. I mirrored it, so it's flipped across the what's that? The y-axis along the x-axis, and then I did a fuse to connect these two portions of mesh together. So you'll see here a seam. Then when I do a fuse, boom, that's gone. And then what I decided to do also is take some inspiration from Denison, where he was able to divide up the mesh uh, of the scalp into the different portions of the head. So, where is it? Right here. So into the scalp zone. So you have the nape, the crown, the fringe, the temples. And I've more or less done that. So if I come all the way down here, I just use the combination of group nodes and colors to represent the different zones. So you'll see the green, we have the temples, the red, we have the, what is that, the nape, the yellow is the crown, and the front blue part is the fringe. So the goal is that I want to have separate hair gen nodes for the guides per section, per section of the head for per scalp zone. And that's pretty much where I left off. Now, something that I want to just double check to take a look at is whether I should be subdividing this scalp or not. So, let's see. To be honest, I don't think so. I mean, I'm trying to take a look at how Denison set up the situation here. Um, Color guides. Yeah, no, to be honest, I don't think he really subdivides it. I think he only subdivides uh, right here. Yeah, he subdivides the original mesh. I think just to get a little bit of a better resolution in terms of painting the attribute, the hairline attribute, which I didn't really do. I just kind of did it by eye. Um, and yeah, I guess I'm somewhat happy. The only part that I have, I think, discrepancy about is the border between the crown and the fringe. So I'm just trying to take a look at the diagrams of that division, which is about here. And I'm wondering if I am doing this correctly. Hmm. Then also it goes back to the question: should I subdivide this? I mean, if I were to do that, I would have to do all this over again. That just throws everything out of whack there. let me just take a look at different images of scalp zones. All right, sorry about that. Let's see. It's funny. There's no like standard map for scalp zones, and to be honest, it's kind of gross to look at times. So. Scalp zone diagram. Okay, that's less gross. But yeah, again, there is no standard diagram. So, you know what? At least for now, I'm going to keep it as is, and we'll see where this takes us. Yeah. Again, the general workflow of this one, it eventually comes time to uh, put this hair onto an animated character, is that we grow the hair here, and we basically suction it onto the character's head and connect it that way. So, yeah, so that being said, we'll continue on. So, what I want to do now is, let's see, let's set this to an output. Unless there's something else that I'm forgetting from the Denison workflow. Nope, that's pretty much it, I think. So yeah, I'm going to set this to an output. Now what I want to do is go back to the head guides and I want to change this. I want to get rid of these groups that I've defined here, and I want to change this. So let's see, head geo output. Boom. And this is still referencing the VDB of the whole head, so that's good. Cool. I'm just wondering what should I be outputting from this head geo. Hmm. Let's just go from here, anyways. Okay. right, so now we have a bit of a mess here, so we gotta try to fix this. So we still want to keep the general setup. Um, but I think essentially we want to start again. So what I want to do is get rid of these attributes here. I want to get rid of some of this stuff here. So I want to remove the guide processes. Oh, wait. Cool. All right, so I've removed the guide processes, but I've kept the guide collide VDB. So this will figure out the collisions based on the head group, the head geometry. So now let's see. So let's go back over here just very quickly. I just want to see how this is working. So yeah, here we are still generating hair on the scalp, and we have a little bit of color there. So that's what the scalp looks like there. Let's see. And here we have to figure out the situation with the hair flow using the curves. So let's see what we have so far. To be honest, they still kind of hold up. Resample, these flow curves are doing still pretty decently. Still nice. So we keep that generally, and now let's see what happens with the guide advect. You know, we're still getting a decent flow of hair. Interesting. Okay. So now from here, let's see. All right, yeah, we need to figure out how to set this up with the different groups on the scalp. Yeah, so you'll see here in this situation here, the what he's doing is he's doing a group transfer from the where is it? From the skin to the guides. Yeah, so from skin and then to the guides. And what he's doing here is he wants to group the guides. Basically, we've grouped the scalp mesh. Now we want to group the guides. So how do I do that? Group transfer. I just took in there are two different nodes for guides. Or like there's guides and then there's hair gen. So what is the difference between guides and hair gen? Unless he just renamed it. Yeah, he just renamed it. But let's see. So let's do a group transfer. What I want to do is pull this directly from the skin. It's a little bit of a messy node graph in that sense, but actually, you know what? Boom. There we go. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Okay, so what I want to do is source primitive groups. So the groups I have set up on the primitives, not the points and not the edges. And I want to do all these. So now, yeah, I have these groups available now. So now if I do a select and I do, yeah, so now all of the guides are grouped based on where they're actually growing from. So that's good. So now I'm able to control each individual section. And you could already see something's going on with Clyde. You know what? Let me shake this off. Cool. All right. I'll be back in just a quick minute. I'm going to get some water. All right. So let's see. Okay, now there was a guide that I had seen. Ah, wait, there it is. That's the one I'm looking for. And it is on the Houdini website, and it gives me another starting point in order to see how to set up this hair stuff. So I think it was this article or tutorial, whatever you want to call it, from Houdini's website that kind of gave me, I guess, the inclination to have a mix of uh, being able to create or like have a mix of interactive manipulation of the hair and procedural hair. So with a mix of the guide processes and the guide groom nodes, where I'm manually able to fix up the hair. So this is part of the node network that he has. So something that he does is he does a guide in it, and according to this blurb here, it basically just initializes the hair in a downward orientation. I think it's somewhere here. Yeah. Sets the direction of the fur downward uniformly. This will just make it easier to brush the hair into place as they are already following the proper orientation. So yeah, you'll see he has the guide in it and then a guide process to bend. So he's using a bend. What happens if I do that? I mean, I already have a guide advect, but what happens if I put a guide in it? I think it'll just ignore the advect. Oh, interesting. Is it following uh my guides? How do I see this? Okay, hang on. So this is interesting. Let me get rid of this. Let me view that. Let me put the guide in it here. So yeah, it wasn't being affected by the guide advect, but if I do that, that is a lot better. Where has this node been? Okay, yeah, so this is making it follow uh, basically the curvature of the head. So yeah, is all do I need a bend at this point? So let's try it. Actually, let me take a look at the options for the guide initialize. Let's take a look at that documentation. Presets. Oh, you can see. All right, yeah. We in Houdini 20.5 we have the concept of recipes, which I kind of want to take a look at. I think there are ways of setting presets to like a set of nodes, uh, which which gives us a recipe basically. It's very useful for pipeline stuff, but only if you're at 20.5. And my studio, we're still at 19.5. So, oh well. Anyways, looking at the documentation, we are working on upgrading soon. So, yeah, hopefully that pans out, works out well. Okay, so the guide initialize. Quickly give hair guide some initial direction. This node is useful to get started with the groom quickly. It provides multiple methods of directing the entire groom. Wind amount of wind to stimulate. Higher values point hair more in the direction of wind direction. Tangential. Tangential. Okay. You know what it means. Tangential. 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 Wait. English. Anyways, tangential to the skin. Wrap wind around the skin, causing guide curves to stick more to the skin in areas where the wind direction. Yeah, it's interesting how they mention wind. Yeah, I think it's a way of giving the hair like an initial direction. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, it pushes the hair in a direction, but like it right now it's giving a direction of down and back. What if I just give it a one direction of back? So just do that. Uh-huh. Yeah, see? Pushes the hair all the way back, and if I put it back to -1. Yeah. Oh yeah, so this is why it's curling in like that. So that's interesting. Actually, yeah, to be honest, this guide in it doesn't really make a difference, or at least much of a difference. Because the guide in it is blowing it in a certain direction. But as soon actually I pay attention to this. Where'd the documentation go? I mean, the good thing about this in it is that it it doesn't put all of it. It doesn't go any further than the actual skin. You know, it's the most it'll go is tangential to the skin. But again, that still doesn't give me much because if I disable this and I view here, everything is following the flow of the hair anyways, right? So I mean, again, this doesn't really do much for me. You know, I'm gonna delete that. Now, back to the guide. Okay, so this part I have to skip. The bend is used to curve the tips inward to make the shape of the bob cut. I guess let's put back the guide collide. Guides, skin output. This should be here. Let's take a look at the guide room node now. This gives me a lot of interactive tools in order to manipulate the hair. To be honest, I don't know all of them offhand. But something that's interesting, if you take a look, I can isolate these based on the group. Even this, I should be able to isolate. No, oh, maybe not this, but yeah, some of the other stuff, the other guide processes and so on. Interesting. Okay, so anyways, let's try. Let's see if I do like maybe a lift. Let's try to isolate this. We'll do a couple of them, and I wonder if I can merge them too. So let's see. We will do this with the let's start at the back. Let's do the nape. Let's do this with the crown. Let's do this with the temples. And we'll do this with the fringe. So let's see if I do a lift. This is the nape, so this is going to be in the back area here. I wish I could isolate this. Anyways, let's hit enter. And to be honest, I feel I should probably learn a bit more on how to use this. Oh, there we go. Oh, I guess then, yeah, this doesn't work. Or maybe it does. I don't know. We'll take a look at this after. To be honest, I'm just kind of messing around here. Just for a record, I'm watching this Family Guy in the background. I'll keep this aside for now. Uh, Crown. I wonder if I wonder if I should have separate guides for each section, for each group. I'm just wondering if there's a way to do that in order for me to isolate. Well, actually, you know what? That'd be a better way for me to do this. We'll just do a blast. And it's the crown, so I'll do crown and I will delete concept. Interesting. I wonder if there is a node set up in order for me to better just work on the crown group, the crown hairs, and like be able to see all of them at the same time too. So that's interesting. Yeah, right now I really am just playing around with this. Something interesting about this part is that it's colliding with the hair, and but it's not letting me go through it, so I can get above the hair, which is funny. See? As soon as I take out collide with skin. Oh, collide with skin. It's not getting it from the BDB. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not doing anything specific. I really am just kind of messing around a little bit just to see what's up. But yeah, again, it's I do want to know if I'm able to merge these. Let's try to bring stuff up from the fringe. Yeah, so there are a lot of good options in terms of the guide groom node. Oh, oh, you know what? I'm not supposed to do it like this. How do I control B, right? This isn't how I'm supposed to do it. That's how I'm supposed to do it. Yeah, you know what? So this is going to take a good amount of manual work here. I think. Oh, hang on. Let's try something. Let's try clearing everything. so that's cleared. That's cleared. That's cleared. That's cleared. All right. Oops. Okay, so this gives me a little bit of a better starting point. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? So I can have a lot of power to isolate these hairs. So, So I can make masks for, but then I can make masks for the whole thing. Hmm. Yeah, again, right now I'm just trying to figure out how to best organize this stuff and utilize attribute masks as well. I don't think. Okay, so I'm gonna write some of this down. I'm just taking a look at the different tools available. What I need to do in my spare time is take a look at this tutorial, Introduction to Grooming Hair and Fur, because because the artist here actually goes through all the different tools in the guide groom tool and node. Okay, so how do I want to do this? What do I want to use the guide processes for? The attribute masks, and what do I want to use the guide process node for? Or guide room, rather. Sorry. Yeah, so I think what I want to do, and it is going to be a long node chain to try to separate this out, but this is the best way I can really think of doing it, which I will have to come back to, is I want to use attribute masks with the lift and adjust length guide processes, but I have to make one per scalp zone. Because we have this one for the crown, I'm going to need another one for the lift for the temples and the nape and so on. And then from there, I will use the guide grooms. Yeah, from there I'll use the guide grooms to manipulate it from there. Brush, etc. Then from there I can use some more guide processes for frizz, bends, and yeah, I don't think there's anything else aside from guide process. Um, yeah, so I think that that's the kind of setup that I want to do. I wonder if I should do that now or just leave it for next time. How long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for an hour and 15. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out now. Just give me a quick minute. All right. Let's try to set this up then. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And I'm going to set up some network boxes too. And let me make this full screen. Let's do this. Okay. Jesus, I keep forgetting. Keep mixing these up. Guide grooms. I'm going to do another one for lift and length. Guide grooms. Frizz, bends, guide grooms. Guide processed. Uh, crown. Crown lift. Let's do this in order actually. The same order. Nape, lift, crown, lift. Temples, lift. Fringe, lift. You see what I mean? Guide processes. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this organized. So let's see. Do something like that. Sure, we'll do something like that. Frizz and Ben guide. So, whoa. I might reduce this to one later for like all of them because I don't think I need to. Yeah, right. I don't need to control Frizz on that kind of a level. Ben's though is a difference. Actually, you know what? Let me just. Actually, maybe I'll put this after. So okay, I've set up a lot of different stuff here. Let me just set up these groups. So that's the nape, that's the crown, that's why isn't that working? That's a lot. But anyways, I guess what I can do in terms of isolating it just to see what it's doing is just disable the rest of the nodes preceding it. So I think I might just do that. But yeah, okay, so now I have these isolated. So now I'm controlling the lift, the length. I have my guide grooms, so I can just manipulate and sculpt it and brush the hair as I need. And I have guide processes for bend and fringe. So yeah, now I should be able to isolate this a lot better. Where does this come from? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so for example, I can control the length, it's the lift, the length of just the nape. So if I go here, yeah, I can really do that. I'm wondering if I should do the length before the lift. No, I think the lift is better to do first, so that way I can get a better sense of direction. And then from there, I can brush the hair as I need. I'm wondering if I need multiple tools or if they're just kind of additive onto the same thing. I'm not sure. I'd assume so. I'm gonna set this back to its default. I'm wondering if I should just set up the attribute paint nodes here now. I'm feeling lazy enough to just leave it, or if I feel productive. No, I'm just do it. I've gone this far. Okay, so gonna need some space for this then. I want to see like when I'm working if there's a way for me to isolate just the geometry of where I want to paint. Like so, for example, oops. Yeah, so like when I want to paint, let's say if this is the nape, I only want to see the nape. I don't know because I have because well, oh, point attributes. Yeah, so it's here nape lift. Seems like a lot though, to be honest. I don't know if this is working 100%. Okay, you know what? I am going to fix this later. I'm feeling kind of tired. But I think this node setup will be good, and I think using this, I will have a much better chance of getting the hair that I want. So hopefully I can make this work. All right, so to do fix. All right, guys. I'm gonna hop off. Next time we'll figure out and fix this situation with the skin attributes, and next time we will work on the hair, and hopefully we will make a lot more progress. All right. I'll catch you guys later.